Greetings folks, this is Ronwise Gamgee and welcome to Quick and Dirty Roleplaying. In this video, I'll talk about EZD6, a tabletop RPG that is built to maximize playability. Throughout my discussion about this game, I will elaborate on what I mean by maximizing playability in tabletop role-playing games with references to EZD6's game design choices. It's important that I elaborate on what I mean by playability in tabletop role-playing games and what it is to maximize it within the hobby, because a lot of tabletop role-playing games sacrifice playability for the sake of simulating reality or genre to a certain extent, and as a consequence makes the game less playable at the table, which is kind of missing the point of what playing RPGs is all about. First and foremost, in page 1, EZD6 tells you flat out what the game is about: pretending to be an alter ego far removed from your everyday life. To quote what it says within that section, your hero, the alternate you in a fantasy world, will go on dangerous adventures, make dear friends and dastardly enemies, kill fearsome monsters, win and lose fantastic treasures, and live life on the edge. That sentence there sets the expectations on what the player characters are, where they will be, what they will do, and how they ought to behave. If you, as a player, are finding yourself disengaged in your tabletop role-playing game sessions, see if your PC's behavior is not in alignment with that sentence I just read. In EZD6, the Game Master is referred to as the rabble-rouser, and the player characters are referred to as pushers and shovers. These role designations point out their purpose and principles that guide their behavior. Game Masters, rabble-rouse, stir shit up and make shit tense and exciting. Players, have your characters push and shove their way in the game world to make their dreams a reality. No one else will do it for them, but many will certainly stand in their way. The core mechanic for task resolution in EZD6 involves, you guessed it, rolling a 6-sided die to meet or beat a target number from 2 to 6 to see if you succeed or fail. A roll of 1 is always a failure, while a roll of 6 is always a success. Only roll when the outcome is exciting or interesting, not when the hero is not under duress and has plenty of time to allow them to do tasks that fit their calling and special traits. That's an important point to keep in mind to prevent having to roll for every single thing. With regards to target numbers and task difficulty, a 2 is easy, a 3 is hard, a 3 is normal, a 4 is hard, a 5 is super hard, a 5 is very hard, and a 6 is super hard. Target numbers are segmented into chunks of 16.66%, or 1 in 6, which I find to be the sweet spot for meaningful granularity, which I've spoken about in a previous video. The 2 to 6 range also provides the rabble-rouser a practical set of target numbers that regularly come up with each and every dice roll, as opposed to, say, a target number of 20 or higher on a d20, which requires substantial bonuses to achieve on a semi-reliable basis. When it comes to target numbers and dealing damage, use a 2 for a weak or slow enemy, a 3 for normal enemies, a 4 for tougher or fast enemies, a 5 for elite or faster enemies, or a 6 for the ultimate or fastest enemies. When enemies attack the PCs, their target number is usually a 3. 3 is a great default target number for a d6 because, more often than not, dice rolls will succeed at a 66.66% chance, but it won't be so often that it's just boring. So why do I harp on about meaningful and reliable target numbers and probabilities of success? That's because EZD6 seeks to be as lean and mean as possible in order to accomplish its goal of maximum playability with minimal of overhead. One way EZD6 does this is by discarding the notion of numerical ratings of attributes and skills, meaning that all dice rolls are read as is, with no innate permanent modifiers inherent to some specific aspect of the character. Instead, if the character is notable in some manner, probably due to their training, they will have what's called a boon in that area. So one of the PC's main sources of boons comes from their hero path, a class, which helps set them apart from others and emphasizes what their role in their party is, or what their role in the party is. Warriors have boons related to melee combat and feats of strength, while wardens, rangers, have boons related to ranged attacks and ranged weapons and wilderness tasks. When a boon comes into play, the player rolls 2d6 and keeps the higher result. Mathematically speaking, the chance of success becomes its base percent plus the base percent of itself. So a hard task, which is target number 4, has a 75% chance of success with a boon. Its base chance is 50%, plus 50% of 50%, which is 25%. While a super hard task, target number 6, has a 19.44% chance of success. Its base chance is 1 in 6, which is 16.66%, plus 1/6 of 1/6, which is 1 in 36. So the total there will be 7 over 36, which when converted is 19.44%. So with this mechanic, hard tasks become significantly easier, easy tasks are trivialized, and super hard tasks are only slightly less super hard, but still harder than very hard tasks with a boon. On the other side of the coin are banes, which represent dire circumstances to act under, such as fighting blind or doing something while on fire. When rolling with a bane, the player rolls 2d6 and keeps the lower result. Mathematically, the chance of success becomes its base percent times itself. So a hard task, target number 4, has a 25% chance of success with the bane, half of half. While a super hard task, target number 6, has a 2.78% chance of success, 1/6 of 1/6, which is 1 over 36. Easy tasks become slightly easier than normal tasks. Harder tasks become significantly harder, and super hard tasks become borderline impossible with a bane. The math of banes and boons plays out somewhat similarly to certain iterations of basic role-playing, the engine that's used in Call of Cthulhu and whatnot, but it also appears in many other games, where easy tasks double the base skill chance of success, and hard tasks half the base skill chance of success. Skills in that game are rated in percentages and require you to roll under them with a D percentile roll. Now there are two game mechanics that can help the PCs turn fate in their favor: Karma and Hero Dice. Karma is a resource that players can spend in order to improve the die roll result. One Karma can increase the result of a die roll by +1, up to a maximum result of 6. And you can spend multiple Karma per die roll. Karma cannot be spent on dice rolls involving casting spells or performing miracles, however, nor can it be used on a die roll that came up as a 1. So Karma is not going to save you from shitty bad luck. Last but not least, you can spend 5 Karma to buy a hero die, which I'll talk about shortly. Characters have 3 Karma at the start of the session. The rabble-rouser can reward Karma for excellent role-playing moments. However, the most common way of acquiring Karma is by failing dice rolls, though you can only get 1 Karma per turn, no matter how many dice rolls you fail in that turn. You also cannot spend Karma you just gained on the dice roll that you failed. The consequences of the dice roll take effect first. So hero dice allow players to re-roll a die. even under circumstances where you cannot spend karma, such as for casting spells, performing miracles, or on dice rolls of 1. Characters have 1 hero die to start with at the start of the session, and can reacquire the spent hero die by spending 5 karma, as mentioned before. This seems to suggest that player characters, or pushers and shovers, can only have 1 hero die at a time. Karma and hero dice are what makes a seemingly basic die mechanic much more gratifying in play. Bad dice rolling streaks suck tremendously, and games such as 13 Age attempts to cushion this with mechanics like the escalation die. And while many games do have a dice re-rolling mechanic that players have limited access to, EZD6 differs from them in that not only is there a die re-rolling mechanic, but there's also a conciliatory mechanic that provides players a resource to accumulate to change future failed dice rolls into successful ones, but that require their players to engage the game world in meaningful ways, meaning in ways that cause them to have to roll dice to see if they succeed or fail in a challenge in order to gain that resource. While the hero die mechanic is more commonplace than karma, it is incredibly clutch in circumstances where karma cannot be spent. To top off the excitement generating mechanics, whenever you roll a 6 in combat, you can roll that die again to see if you confirm the crit. Taking it back to D&D 3rd edition here. Rolling a 6 when confirming the crit allows you to confirm the crit again, thereby dealing more and more damage to your foe until you stop rolling 6s. Savage Worlds is probably the most prominent tabletop role-playing game to ever have this dice exploding mechanic, but it's not the only one. And EZD6 has appropriated this mechanic for dealing extra damage. In my experience, exploding dice has always been an exciting mechanic. And with a D6, or 2, if you have a boon, and the tactical use of karma, I suspect that crits occur on a regular basis, which creates excitement in combat and, as a consequence, keeps players engaged longer. Beware, however, as enemies can also take advantage of this mechanic and land massive crits on the pushers and shovers as well. It's Baldur's Gate all over again with the exploding bodies. I'm going to stop here for now and continue with character creation, magic, monsters, and running EZD6 in later videos. From what I've discussed, the super simple D6 mechanic, plus roll and keep, gaining expendable bonuses on future dice rolls through failed dice rolls, the re-rolling mechanic that can apply in situations that karma does not, and the exploding dice mechanic creates a rules foundation that generates excitement and provides players limited cushions against the cruel capriciousness of bad dice rolling streaks, as well as tactical decision making on when to go for broke or when to save for a rainy day. If you like or dislike anything in this video, please give it a like or dislike and leave a comment, keeping it respectful and relevant. Subscribe if you want to support my channel, and if you really want to support my endeavors, head over to my Patreon and become a member. The link is in the description. Until then, folks, take care and play to find out what happens.